Question.
Yep.
Regarding the key situation. Tara wants to make sure that we have the backing of a lot of people in the raid if we're going to kick Key. I don't think anyone's made mention the fact that she's on thin ice to her yet since the last time we talked, so this might come as a surprise and it might come off petty. And she wants us to handle it respectfully. Mostly so that we're not like, yep, Key's gone by, so it's not like this, big thing, Because I'm not sure, have you talked with her yet? Does she know?
I haven't talked with her yet. I fell asleep.
All right, so basically if it's 20 minutes before raid and you say, hey, you're gone, go away, she's gonna fucking blow up and it's not gonna look good, even if we're in the right, And unless we have a vast majority of the raid saying, yeah, we 100% agree that Key needs to go and we're okay with this, we're essentially going to come off looking like assholes, regardless. Need help? Just because we didn't really give her warnings and then more warnings and then updated her the status of those warnings. And it's basically just nothing for 2 months and then insta kick, It's not gonna go over well. And I kind of see where Tara's coming from, is that basically when people leave in the past, when they've basically flamed out and been kicked, it's always ugly, right? And this isn't going to be any less ugly,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, since nothing's really been done yet, the only person's feelings we would hurt would be Jinkies, telling him that he's not actually tanking if we're reversing things. But I think we need to maybe talk with Key about reaffirming where she stands in our eyes as far as her attitude and her outbursts, and let her know that if it continues, then she's going to be removed, And so we have to leave it in very strict and very specific terms. And then going forward, if it happens again, then we need to call her out on it and then immediately take action and not let it sit and fester and she just randomly logs in and she's no longer in the guild kind of thing, We got to be more upfront about it. And then we also need to make sure that we have, the backing of more people in the raid than just officers, So we're not just look like we're being tyrants about it. Because I don't actually know what the general consensus is when it comes to Key is. I know Aging and Pleth probably have their opinions one way, and we have our opinions. I know Lythe's probably not too fond, but probably indifferent either way. But I have no idea where the rest of the raid stands, or if she was just immediately removed before we even started doing anything, and was up, Jinkies is tanking. But people would be like, "Yay!" or would they be like, "Well, that's kind of fucked up."
In total honesty, from everyone that I know, it's pretty much they don't like her if they've done any kind of Mythic Plus or anything like that with her. It's pretty much always been like that from any time I've ever met anyone that knows Key. The people that like casually meet her, or like, they come to raid with her sometimes and they don't like see her get pissy all the time, then a lot of those people are indifferent to her because when she's not being super pissy, she's usually being nice. It's just when she throws her crazy hissy fits. So if they're the only people that aren't gonna understand it are the people that don't do stuff with her outside of raid. So they're just.
I tried to explain that to Tara. Like, you don't really run a whole lot of, post raid content with her, so you don't know what she's like.
And even in raid, she blows up. But it's to those people, she's just blowing up during raid, and that's it.
The only person that I feel like would have any kind of semblance of an issue with it would probably be Zoa. I think the two of them are kind of buddy about stupid transmog, but outside of that, I don't know anybody else that's like, oh yeah, Key's great.
Yeah, I think I don't know.
Because I just really do not want to go into this tier and have to deal with her shit again.
Another thing is you wouldn't want to kick her during raid. Like, if she has a crazy flare-up and she starts freaking out again, then you're just either going to have to deal with it for the rest of the night, or you're going to have to kick her right there, which nobody wants to be publicly kicked like that, because that's always a bad thing as well. That's just down for the morale, period.
Uh-huh.
So it's hard to fit in. In my opinion, I think it's probably just best done pulling her into a channel. It sucks that it has to be now. If this was like 2 or 3 hours ago, I think it would have been much better. But we are like approaching raid time for you guys, so it's really kind of
the reason why. It's part of the reason why I think it comes off wrong.
Exactly.
Just before raid, it's like, yeah, go away, and I mean, no matter how you look at it, it just makes us look bad. It makes us look like we don't know what the fuck we're doing, and we come off looking bad regardless of whether we're actually in the right or wrong. Even if most of the raid is like, yeah, Key's got her problems, and she has her demons, and we've had problems with her in the past, but, you know, that was fucked up. You know, guarantee that's going to be the end result of whatever transpires tonight, you know? If she ends up being removed, we're gonna look like, you know, we're being assholes about it.
Oh yeah, no, I totally get it.
I think that most people are aware that she's had 3 chances to fix these issues already, though, as well.
I was gonna say, to be honest, majority of people that I know do not like Key, so that's something, or at least like know that she has like really bad anger problems, I guess. But I mean, it's a very minute percent of the people that actually don't know Key or or really like Key.
I think it's just new weekend run people that are like unfamiliar with her, like Tyrnix or whatever the fuck his name is.
He's probably not gonna be our fucking Star Warlock. I was gonna let him come to raid if he can fill a spot, but
Pyrenix, whatever?
yeah, Pyrenix, that Warlock, but if he underperforms, he's just gonna be gone.
You probably should never give him an invite.
I don't think
He's
so
like a
either.
lost. He's like a lost puppy. It's like sad. He
Well,
just hangs around.
that was the point. Well, not that was the point, but I invited him because I thought he was going to be decent, and then he turns out to be a shitlord. Like, he told me that he didn't have any logs or anything like that, so I was like, okay, whatever. And then he's just, to be honest, dude, and I'm like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Just hearing him in Discord, I was like, oh god, what did I do?
I think that, not to completely undermine what we're trying to do with Key, I think it might be healthier, at least for this first week, that before raid, we need to talk with Key about the outburst with Pop, even if it's just briefly, letting her know, hey, we heard about this incident. That's not cool. We told you that these kind of things were going to get you removed in the past, and you keep edging towards these kind of things. And so just reaffirm to her that she's on notice, and if it happens again, then we're going to be forced to look elsewhere for a tank, you know? And I mean, maybe that makes her put one foot out the door regardless, but
yeah, pretty much.
Very least, I think so long as we make that known, we can wild is just as bad, but I mean, we need to remind her that those kind of things aren't acceptable. And then if she continues to have another blow up, then we need to, you know, immediately at that point just say, hey, this is unacceptable, and we warned you, and then you still keep doing it, and so we told you there'd be consequences, and these are the consequences. So I think we need to have that conversation now with her, you know, and not necessarily just kick her out the door now, because that makes huge uncertainty going on, like a cloud. You know, they're kicking people already. Guild's falling apart. Even if a lot of people would agree with the decision, it's probably worth it for us to hedge our bets give her another stern warning, and then if she makes another mistake, then we can kick her. Will that be an acceptable alternative to the situation?
I'm not totally pushing for Key to leave, but I totally understand why people want her gone.
Honestly, since the Lythe incident, I've been kind of pusher. I've been on the side of just, with Ginge and Fleth, actually, of just being done with her. Like, I know we all have opposing standpoints on this realistically, but, like, that shit's not gonna fly. Like, you know, like it
It's
happened in
not
other
healthy
guilds.
for a raid.
Yeah, I mean, I get that. Sure, I mean, I would take her over a crack every day, twice on Sunday, to be honest, just because you can deal with someone who doesn't want to take responsibility for things because you just tell them what to do, and if they just outright refuse, then you've washed your hands of your responsibility in a situation, and they're the ones that are being stupid. But Krakow was just psychopathic and drunk half the time, and was incoherent, and just did whatever the fuck he wanted, and it was impossible to pin down what he wanted to do or whatever. And you know, he's a little more transparent in what she wants to do, I think. You know.
No, I get that, but like the just random outbursts like she's had are like very reminiscent of Crack, like as a whole as well. And obvious in a guild, as we were warned, you know. Like the way the dude went about it was fucking stupid and shitty, but like we were definitely warned that something like this was going to happen, and inevitably it did.
Warning.
I think that's what threw a lot of people off, was that he was being such a dickhead about it, so everyone, like, you know, Key had a very easy victim card to play off.
Yep.
Yeah, well, a lot of times the only frame of reference we had going in was basically her account and the other person's account, and she said they were toxic, and then even Ginge backed up that thing that that guild was 100% toxic. And so having no frame of reference as to what the actual behavior would be, and just the word of some random dude who was just spamming us, you know, it's kind of hard to believe that, take that at face value, you know.
Yeah.
But I mean, he was probably embellishing a bit, but probably just because he had more history with her. You know, like I think he had been with her in multiple times. Like they were in the same guild previously, then she left, and then she rejoined like some years later. You know, and then you know all that past shit gets drudged up and old wounds get reopened, kind of thing. And so I think that's why it was so raw.
Yeah, but wasn't Kev in a guild with her before too, where the same shit happened?
Yes. Kev doesn't like her as well, mostly just for the same reasons that we're thinking about moving on, is because she just doesn't seem to accept responsibility for those kind of things, and she has outbursts and stuff like that. So
she also, I didn't want her in the weekend raid to begin with on her druid, because she does not have the mindset of a DPS. She cares nothing for her DPS.
Mindset of a tank either, to be honest. Like refusing to push damage as a tank is probably one of the most ignorant things I've ever heard in my life.
Refusing to push damage as a DPS is, in my opinion, a little bit more ignorant. She really doesn't care. She says that all she cares is about DPS, or I'm sorry, it's about mechanics. And I was like, you are fucking insane. We're sitting there like, yeah, but RLG's trying to explain to her, but you're supposed to maximize your damage. And she doesn't care.
I'm gonna bring her in here and see if she's around.
Okay.
Hey Key, you there? I pulled you up to the Oxford channel.
Hello.
Hello. So I'll make this short and sweet. Just as a reiteration of what we talked about a month or so ago, between the situation between you and Lythe, just trying to reiterate where we stand on that situation. That you need to be taking better steps at curtailing your outbursts and your attitude towards people, especially outside of raid, and not have that blow up and become an issue. It's happened a couple more times since we've had that big talk, and I just don't want this to be an ongoing thing, and I want us to be taking positive steps to try to fix that from being a thing that happens.
Like played once outside of raid in the last like 2 weeks, so I don't know.
Well, I mean,
Lythe and I are chill, so
It's
Well,
not just with Lythe. That's
it's
the
just-
problem.
it's a bunch of other people. They've been rubbed wrong by outbursts or attitude that you've shown towards them, and there was that mythic plus pop instance where you guys were going back and forth at it and having outbursts and stuff like that. And it's the same kind of thing that was going on before, and I just don't want it to rear its head again. And
there was no outburst though.
Well, that's not what I heard.
Basic.
Braylon was there, right?
I was gonna say, I mean, like, I didn't make the complaint, but to be fair, you got really, really defensive when you were told to try and bring them down the stairs, and then you just started getting angry at them, saying you knew what you were doing.
Okay, no, they were like, bring them down the stairs. I brought them down the stairs, and they immediately complained that I was at the bottom of the stairs. So I said, I'm here bringing the ad down like I was told. That's literally all that was said, Braylon. You were there.
Again, but I was there. But the thing is that even Ginge told me that it was a little bit much, was that you really raised your voice when you were saying that. You got really upset.
I wasn't
even
pissed
Pop
off, though.
told
I
me.
wasn't upset.
Even Pop told me that let me be honest, Key, it really sounded like it. I genuinely believe you. If you're saying that you were not angry, I believe you. But the thing is that over microphone, the way that you sounded, in perfect honesty from my point of view, you sounded very angry, and you did get, maybe you were close to your mic, maybe something. You got really... That's what I'm saying, though, is that it got really loud.
That wasn't an angry thing. That was me literally just saying, I'm down here because Ginge told me to be down here, and you know better than anyone, I raise my voice when I get excited. It was not a matter of me being upset. There was no outburst.
All right, I believe you.
That's just my voice. I can't.
Yeah,
I can't change that.
It's just we just don't want that kind of thing to be a common thing, because we're just going into a new tier. We want everything to be chill. We want everyone to be on the same page and working as a cohesive unit. And that can't happen if we're trying to formulate a strategy on the third boss, and you have something in your mind that's how you think it should be done. Someone else wants to do something differently, and then you, not being mad, raise your voice and cause a scene about, we should be doing it this way, or there's no way he can pull off that because, the Gul'dan drama, which is all behind us. But I just don't want that to be a thing going forward in the new tier. And I'm just trying to clear the air as to where we're standing with everything, reiterate the fact that if this kind of thing keeps going on, where we keep having these outbursts, regardless of whether you had malice intent, it's something that's going to have to force our hand as far as looking elsewhere for a tank.
My voice gets loud. People just need to understand that I can't change that. If I am intent on something, I lean in. That's what happens. I get closer to my computer, I get louder. There's literally no outbursts. You're basically already getting mad at me for something that hasn't happened. Wait until after today. I've literally just been chilling here, minding my own fucking business for the past 3 weeks.
Well, yeah, it's just
not happening.
We've had similar issues that keep cropping up in the past. And we went through Nighthold, and so we had some of the similar types of issues. All the things that we've heard from people in previous guilds from you all are essentially resonating very keenly as to the kind of person you are, and a lot of that was over embellished. I'll grant you that, just because you had personal history with those kind of people and that kind of stuff. But I'm not saying that you're in any sort of dire straits at the moment, but it's something you need to actively be working on, right? Everyone has to work on something. I think that's something that you need to be putting time, energy, and effort into. Either say less when you, less is more, So if you have something to say, try to condense what you're trying to say and not let it ramble on into, this is why I'm right. Try not to come off as, condescending if you can help it. Try to choose your words carefully, and then that'll help make you come across much better and more concise to people. But I just don't want us be halfway through Mythic and then we have similar issues where we're struggling on certain bosses for reasons other than yourself, and then we have blow-ups because we have disagreements in the strat, disagreements on how things should go, and I just don't want there to be any misconceptions as to what that means. I just don't want there to be that kind of drama going forward.
To be perfectly honest, Key, I'm more sorry that we're doing this so close to raid.
I'm fine. Like, I'm perfectly fine. I just don't.
It's a conversation we probably should have had.
Yeah. Like, I just want a fair chance, and right now it feels like you're already damning me for something I haven't done. I just want a fair chance to prove that this isn't going to be a thing.
Warning.
If someone doesn't understand that when my voice gets louder.
Warning.
You have not been replaced yet. You have a fair chance.
It's not going to be a problem. I promise you, it's not. Like, Pop doesn't know me. He's never run an instance with me. Like, he's never talked to me outside of raid.
He's a new recruit. But I'm just saying that I've heard multiple reports of you doing 5-man Mythic Plus content with people, and then something doesn't go right, and then there's a blow up. I just don't want that to be a thing, because that's the exact same thing that happened during Gul'dan progression. I've seen Mythic Pluses. I've seen other people complain about the same issue. This is the exact same kind of outburst, control-y stuff that random dude that spammed us when you first joined was complaining about. And hey, he might have been 100% wrong and full of shit. But when he was talking about it, we said, ha, that guy is a crazy person. Key's all right in my book. And then 6 months down the road, all those things he was talking about slowly start creeping over the surface. And it's like, I'm not saying they're deal breakers, but I'm saying that they can be deal breakers if they continue on unchecked and uncorrected, and that's partially on you. You gotta, if you have a problem.
And up until last whenever the hell it was, I think it was whatever. I've run them all with you. Every dungeon I've run since we've talked, you have been in the group. And so clearly, it's just it just blows my mind that you're talking like this is still occurring every day, because I hardly played prior to this last week. And I spent most of my time last week on my DK.
Those are just the instances that I heard of from other people, right? I mean, I don't have first-hand account on a lot of these, but I don't doubt that they existed, just from the outbursts that I have been present for, And again, it's like the reason
stuff that happened before we talked last. This isn't.
Well, the thing with Pop was definitely after that.
But that wasn't even an outburst.
When we have someone come to us saying that it's happening again, what are we supposed to do? Just disregard them and just take everything at completely face value?
The only other thing that has even remotely happened since last time we talked was Kev literally going off on me while I had him muted, and I had people messaging me saying, you really need to unmute him and hear this, blah blah blah, that incident or whatever. And I'm sure that guy messaged you and told you all about it because he was telling me he was gonna, and I literally the only thing that I even said in that entire conversation was telling Kev to stop. And honestly, once he calmed down, I don't know what he was on about, but once he calmed down, we actually had a nice, literally 4-hour conversation, which was very helpful for me in terms of Gul'dan stuff. I just don't understand why, it's everyone's just jumping to the worst possible conclusion when I talk. Just open my mouth, all of a sudden, oh, she's obviously pissed and upset. No, my voice is loud. That's just the way I am. I can't just not talk, period. That doesn't work.
Yeah, I mean, you see where we're coming from, though, right? It's it's a recurring thing. Not all of them are game breakers. Not all of them are super emergency stuff, but it's a recurring pattern of disagreeableness with random people. And unfortunately, a lot of people you have previous history with, right? So Kev is in particular. So there's some animosity there.
Kev and I are actually really chill right now. Like, really chill. We've been talking and actually getting along, believe it or not. So, I mean, that's not even a thing anymore. The problem, like, I didn't even disagree with Pop. I didn't even yell at him. I was basically telling Jin to back off because he was micromanaging me and then yelling at me for doing what, like, he raised his voice at me right before I was like, hey, I'm doing what you said. It's literally the entire outburst that happened was Jin and him just repeating over and over and over again, do this, do this, do this. And I had already done it. And then they're saying, like, shouldn't you be at the top? Like, you just told me to pull this guy down here. He died literally 3 seconds ago. And like, that's what I'm saying. Is like, it's just stupid shit that I'm just like, okay, like, I know what I'm doing. Like, can you back off a little bit? Is basically the entirety of that outburst or whatever you want to call it. Like,
Well, I'll just say that from our end and from other people's end, it doesn't seem like people are able to tell the difference between when you are legitimately outbursting or when you're just talking close to your mic. You know, if we can't tell the difference, then there really is no difference on our end, right? Like, you're having a disagreement about
like, I can't do
where
anything about that,
we're
though.
talking spiders. I know, but that you can, because you can
Not talk.
well not get into a verbal disagreement over things that don't matter. You know, if you're going to say something, make sure
We're
it's
trying to
important.
communicate in a dungeon. I kind of have to talk.
You don't need to talk to tell someone that you're tanking spiders at the bottom. Just tank the spiders at the bottom.
Well, no, they were telling me to tank spiders at the bottom, and then as soon as I got to the bottom, they're like, you should go to the top now, like, as soon as I got there. And that's when I was like, yeah, I'm just doing what I'm told. Like, literally, that's all that was said. I'm just doing what I was told. Like, there was no outburst. It was literally me just telling them that I was doing what they were telling me to do. And Ginge cut me off literally after talking for half a second. How do you let me fucking finish? Which, like, I stopped talking then because Ginge had already, like, Ginge blew up just as much as I did in that instance. Like, I literally started talking and half a second later he's like, enough, calm down. Like, he didn't even give me a chance to even get mad before he was telling me to stop.
I mean, I was there. I didn't think that it was because of. It sounded like you were really angry. That's what I was saying, though. Is that
though? Like,
oh,
and that's what I'm saying.
that
It's
goes
him
back to
saying-
what Park was. You know, it's hard for us because that's the thing. Like, it comes off as you being angry when, especially, I'm sorry. Like, you did. Like, I didn't call in this complaint or whatever. I didn't even tell Parth about it. But I'm sure it was Pop. But either way, it's just. You sounded so mad when you were yelling that back. So when he said enough, he really just wanted the outburst to stop.
Trial, right? And he was concerned that he was essentially on the way out because Key was essentially about to murder him in his sleep.
I wasn't even talking to Pop. Pop wasn't even a part of that. It was Ginge.
Well, it was a combination of Pop and Ginge who were concerned that is there beef here or something like that.
Well, yeah, no, Pop was talking. You were talking to Pop part of that time, Key.
Well, I was responding to Ginge, but like the both of them were telling me, micromanaging my every movement, and that was basically just me trying to be like, okay, like, I'm doing what you're telling me to do, so please just stop.
So the general theme of when we start having issues that we have to talk about with you is when people try to micromanage what you're doing and you don't agree with it.
No, it wasn't
we have
even
words, right?
It wasn't even that. They were just going on and on and on. It's like, okay, like, I'm doing it.
You realize that's the underlying theme, right? If we take all the events where we could say are slightly or even possibly problematic with you since you started joined our guild, every single one, the common thing is where someone tries to either tell you what to do or makes a suggestion of what you should be doing better. That is the common theme across the entire timeline of you being here. And those are all the instances where you blow up or raise your voice or have an issue with someone that causes a blow up. Every single one, right? Is where someone tries to micromanage it. You do not like to be micromanaged. And if you don't agree with how that micromanaging is because you feel like, Well, I know,
It's
but
not even one of
can you
those
at least agree that
cases.
that's the underlying theme with all the times that we've had blow-ups?
Like, I just don't need people like bickering in my ear, like 2 different people bickering in my ear about what I should be doing in a 5-man that I've done 100 times. Like, it just doesn't make sense. And me.
No, I actually totally get that. I understand, but at the same time, it's that, even from what I heard, it sounded like you got really nasty with them. And that's why Ginge even had to say enough, because
I
it sounded like you were really
literally
blown
a
up.
second and a half when he was like, "Calm down." He doesn't even know that I'm pissed at that point. Like, he could just.
Well, no, you had gotten lots of words out at that point. You were saying
Well, no,
that
we
you
were
knew how to
talking-
do the dungeon. You were saying, "I know what I'm doing. I know what I'm doing."
Because I
but-
was trying to communicate you guys to something, and you weren't like, you just ignored me. These like. And we're talking about bats fixating on people. I said, yes, like that's why I pulled the ad down. Like, I just like, this is what I'm just trying to like, and I wasn't even pissed. I was even like, my voice wasn't even raised then. I explained, yeah, I understand how the bats work. That's why I pulled the ad down. And then they're like, shouldn't you be at the top of the stairs by now? Like you just told me to pull this shit down. So yeah, no, I'm not at the top of the stairs. That was literally the entirety of the conversation. Like, I feel like I have literally done nothing wrong. It's my inflection of voice, and there's nothing I can do about it. People, like, I'm not outbursting at people. I'm not pissed off at anyone. Like, I get that it came across that way, but that's not how it was. If people just don't know me, they need to take a second to like understand that that's how it is. Like, I can talk with Pop and make things cool with him, and
All right,
and
no,
hope that it's cool, but it
if
just-
you can do that, no, I mean, I know, I'm being serious here. I mean, if you can talk with Pop, just say, listen, I'm sorry about what happened in the Mythic Plus. I'm sorry, like, if there was any miscommunication there. But, you know, at this point, at the very least, just keep in mind that not everyone understands that. Like, not everyone's had this talk, like, in officer chat.
I get that.
All right, so then all that I can ask is, you know, if you have a disagreement with anybody, or if you need to talk to somebody, or you're trying to convey what you're trying to say, just try not to raise your voice mostly. Like, it's when the voice gets really raised that a lot of people just take it as aggression. And that's with anybody. I mean,
that's not what it is, though. Like, you know that.
But
not
even
what it
with
is.
most
I
people,
get
like,
excited.
if I just started raising my voice at people,
That's
a
my
lot of them are probably gonna
That's
think that I'm being a
honestly-
dickhead.
I can't help that. Trust me. Like, I've known that that's a thing for a very long time, and whether I'm pissed off or not, excited, like,
Well,
you know,
there's 2 ways to fix that. If you can't not raise your voice in situations, then either A, you need to make sure that you double check with people afterwards that, hey, sorry I raised my voice, I didn't mean it, I was actually kidding. So you have to reaffirm that things are okay afterwards. So you're not changing
I
actual.
didn't even.
No,
I didn't
but
even
you
know
have
there
to.
was a problem. Like,
Well,
I didn't.
You now know that when you raise your voice, a lot of people take it as aggression or you being angry, or there's something going on there, right? And so if you don't address the issue afterwards, they're going to walk away with that situation as, wow, he doesn't like me, or there was a big problem here, or she's just blowing off the handle, you know? And if you don't address that right then and there, that's how it's going to stew with people, right? I think you might even want to have a one-to-one talk with Ginge and Pleth about that exact same issue, because they run with you a lot on, you know, Mythic sales or Mythic Plus stuff, more so than even I do. And they're the ones that are starting to get tired of your shit, basically, just because it seems like whenever there's a disagreement, you raise your voice and they're taking it as anger, they're taking it as frustration, they're taking it as you just blowing off the handle, you know, and they're just getting tired of it, you know. And if you're not meaning that in any sort of negative way, and it's just the inflection in your voice, you need to make that clear to them, you know. So if they're okay with it and they're cool with it, then I'm okay with it. But you need to take that step and, you know, let them know that, hey, I'm sorry I raised my voice. You know, it wasn't intended to be anything against you. We're still cool, you know. And if they're okay with it, that's fine. And then a lot of these problems go away. But you just got to take that extra step. Like, if you can't fix the here and now voice stuff, if that's just never going to change, and you're always going to come off that way, then you got to take the extra step either to A, say less in the moment, or afterwards address the fact that you know, went to that level and say, hey, I know I blew up, but I was, you know, it was all in fun and games, you know. Is that a good compromise as to the situation?
Yeah, but yeah.
I mean, I'm just saying,
Yeah.
if you can't fix the voice thing in the here and now, you got to find ways to address the problem
That's
later.
literally all it is. Like, I'm not blowing up on people. I swear to God, I'm not. Like, that's not happening anymore. And I have gone out of my way to, like, be super self-conscious of that shit. And like, I don't want to be fucking replaced. And I'm literally like, Life and I are super cool. We've been talking, and Kev and I are getting there. And it's just like, I just don't want bad shit to happen because I can't. Like, even right now, I'm sure I sound like I'm fucking yelling. I'm not. I'm just worked up, and I'm not
Yeah.
not mad.
See, that this is all the reason why we brought it up now, before we start a tier, before we start getting into the nitty-gritty, is that you're now aware of these issues that some people may have with you in certain situations. I just don't want you to be doing a 5-man with a new trial somewhere, and then you blow up, and then they take it the wrong way, and then we just have this split where half the people think you're unhinged, and the other half know, oh, well, that's just Key, she's just special, or whatever, you know? It's like, I don't want that to be a thing that you build up for yourself, is where you're just that unhinged, you know, female in the raid. You know, I just don't want that. I mean, you're a good enough player that you don't need that baggage, and so you need to address that before it starts getting out of control. And if you don't address that yourself, then other people make up the stories for you, and then you have to live by other people's stories, right? So, and also it's a taking criticism thing, right? It's like when people try to micromanage you or make a criticism on what you're doing, you just got to take that more, you know, gracefully. You know, you can't take it as an assault on your ability to play the game. And that was part of the thing we talked about last time when you had the blow up, was just, if someone tries to say, hey, maybe you should be doing this better, you know, especially the spider thing, it's not necessarily saying that you're a bad tank. It's just, hey, here's another way you could be doing it, you know, please include that in your thought process the next time, you know. And it's not you know, it's not them trying to tear you down. It's just them just making suggestions, and that's all people really can do, is just make suggestions. And if you're going to take them the wrong way every time, then it's going to tire people out. And I think that's kind of why we're having this conversation, is that there's some people that have gotten tired out about it, because they try to make suggestions, they try to work with you on things, and then your voice inflection or the way that you're handling the situation comes off as either bitchy or overly aggressive, that kind of stuff. And I just don't want that to be the legacy you leave behind, is that you had innocent intentions the whole time, but you just came off wrong, you know? So either you need to change how you interact with people, or you need to make it clear after the fact that you're, you know, everything's good, you know? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So I mean, that's all this conversation is just trying to reiterate what we talked about last time, and try to get you to keep improving, you know, the issues that you do have to work on, you know. And then once those things, once you get to that point where you're no longer blowing up and you're just chill with everybody, then, you know, this whole dynamic just goes away, you know, and everybody's buddies and friends. And that's the kind of environment we want to have here, is everyone's friends, everyone does everything with everybody. There's no cliques where everyone's like, oh, I can't deal with that Key person because if I don't pull spiders right, I'm gonna get yelled at, you know. I don't want that to be a thing. And you have all the power in the world to fix that problem. And right now it just seems like it's an optics problem, right? So you just got to work on your optics. And we are going to be going into raids, doing bosses. They're going to have varying strats. Some of them are going to be easy, some of them are going to be hard. I just don't want there to be a, hey, let's try this boss this way. And you're like, oh no, there's just no way that's going to work, you know. And it's like, we have a blow up about strategy on something, you know. I just don't want that to be a thing that we're dealing with going into a new tier. And that's just why we're having this conversation, because you're the only person that's like an ongoing thing that people comment about, you know. So long as you can just take steps in that direction, we're all cool, we're all fine. But just know that if it devolves further and there is no progress being made in that direction, then, you know, you're going to force our hand into trying to look elsewhere for, you know, a tanking solution, because we just can't have dysfunction in that role. It's too important going into a new tier to have two tanks that are buddy and are on the same page. And if you're always going to be butting heads whenever either you make a suggestion one way or the other, it's just not going to work. Like, we're not going to kill any mythic bosses that way. Or new recruits are going to come in and see that the tanking core is just dysfunctional and the officers are unwilling to do anything about it. This guild ain't going nowhere, you know. I just don't want that to be a thing, you know. So just fix it now, deal with it now, and then we'll all be happier later. So that's really all I had to say. I mean, yeah, you're not in trouble. I just reiterating, where we stood last time and where we still stand. And now you know what some other people are thinking when, you have outbursts. I mean, I don't want you to be super self-conscious all the time, but, unwilling to take criticism, then you got to address that fact later with people that, I definitely took the criticism to heart. I just, didn't verbalize it properly or something like that, That's it. I mean, do you have any other questions or anything like that?
No.
All right, that was it. Sorry to kind of start the new tier on a downer, but I guess it was something we just kind of had to talk about before we really got going.
I just don't I just want you guys to not go into this tier thinking that that's how I'm gonna be. I want it to be good, And life and I are.
I want it to be good.
Really...
I want it to be good too. I just think that you just gotta do a little extra work on your end, and then I think a little work on your end will go a long way, and you'll be able to see dividends in that regard. Because right now you just have a perception problem with some people. They just see you one way, and you need to help correct that. And that only happens if you go out of your way to improve how you interact with those people, and then.
I get it. I already have to fight to get my weekly dungeons done because no one will invite me and everyone's running shit behind my back when I'm asking to do so. I get it. I get what's happening.
There's a reason why that happens is because people run one with you and then you blow up on them over something minor, and then they're like, you know what? It's not enjoyable. Even if you're fully capable of tanking the hardest difficulty content in the world, if you just always bring that extra level of just drama. It's just not worth it for people when they're on their off night. They just want to chill and relax and have fun and laugh. You should be able to go through an entire Mythic Plus and just laugh, And then if making a pull, even if it's a carrier run and you're, outburst over how spiders are tanked, then there's something else going on there, And that's partially on you to fix those problems. And so now those problems exist, and you can take steps to fix them, and everything will be fine. I have faith that you'll be able to figure it out. I mean, you're a good player, so. But it's just working on those little things, so. Yeah, I think that's all I have to say, so.
I gotta go kick my bird out before raid, otherwise that.
Yep, alright, we'll see you in a little bit.
Oh God!
I could tell.
Bro, Parth coming in with the combo breaker.
Conversation started that she was gonna cry, because she always does.
Yep. Well, the Hangman's noose has been laid out, so if she devolves and can't handle the scrutiny on how she behaves with people, then it's on her. We can't. We've washed our hands of our culpability in this situation. So we let her know what the situation was, that she needs to take steps to improve it, and if it doesn't get improved, then that's on her. So
she was lying her ass off about the dungeon.
Oh, I'm sure I know. Either she's unwilling to even admit that she made those mistakes, or she's just unwilling to change.
I just didn't want to call her out for it, make it a million times worse while we're doing this, because we didn't want to kick her now.
This is another problem I have with her, is that she's constantly playing the victim card.
Yeah, there was no victim card there. She was for sure really pissed off about what happened.
No, I mean, she was playing the victim card and that it was Ginger's fault or Pop's fault and not hers.
Yeah.
Because that's how she is.
So fucking Dots was the weekend run guy, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Be careful. I am honored.
Did you guys want me to come on my Demon Hunter or something for extra loot tonight? Jinkies was mentioning that to me. I don't expect to get gear that anyone even slightly needs. because apparently normal is so easy. You'll just dive right over it in like 45 minutes to an hour with an organized group.
I'm letting Jinkies know that he's not tanking.
Yeah, he's good.
All right.
Poor boy. He was so hyped.
I'm sure he was.
He's still
He'll have
like
opportunities.
I was gonna say, if you guys decided to ditch Key, I would give Jinkies a shot.
I'd rather have Jinkies, honestly. Because Jinkies will actually push damage.
He'll push damage, but I mean, he's a decent player, so I mean, he's a better player than Key, a lot better.
Well, as far as your Demon Hunter is concerned, let's see where we stand body wise going in, and then we'll try to expand it.
Yeah, no, that's totally up to you. If you don't even want to bring 30 people, that's fine. That's just Jinkies mentioned it to me, and I was wondering if I need to get.
It would
mats on this
probably be
guy.
nice, but
Yeah.
I don't know if we're gonna get 30 quality people, and I don't know how hard things are gonna be. So I'd rather not carry people just to have 30 people for extra loot.
I mean, Jinkies pugged like almost the entire dungeon, and apparently even KJ is super easy. Like
on heroic.
on normal. I'm sorry, no normal. But that's because like I figured you guys would do normal tonight just because it's so easy to stomp through real quick. It'll get everyone familiar with the boss, and it takes all of like an hour apparently.
Yeah, well, as Tara was saying, was that the bosses are going to be so easy, especially the first half, that you're never going to learn any mechanics, so it's kind of pointless. And then you have the problem of tier. Do you do normal first and give all your people that really need tier the shit tier, right?
Yeah, no, I totally.
So you give them all the normal tier, and then you go into heroic, and the same tier drops, and then your second tier people get
honestly.
the good tier,
Then you give the normal tier to fucking people that aren't that crazy that need it, like people that aren't that great. But I mean, you give the heroic tier immediately to the people that need it, that do the most damage. I mean, like say somebody like Mighty. I mean, I know his warrior is gonna be fucking stomping on shit in this dungeon because warriors are stupid right now. So I mean, and they get really buffed from their tier set. So don't give him normal tier, but he gets heroic tier once you guys move to heroic.
I'm gonna pull Jinkies in real quick.
Alright.
Again, that's totally up to y'all, though. I mean,
Yo. I
What's
know
up?
you're real sad. But yeah, Tara wanted us to like absolve our sins essentially with Key
Why?
before we did anything,
Why?
because Tara hasn't been involved in any of the conversations with Key and hasn't.
Tell me
Been
what
there.
difference that's gonna make.
No, I know, Jinkies, trust me.
it's not preventing the problem; it's shifting the problem.
That's fucking dumb. Whatever.
I would much rather have you tanking, but we don't want to look like we're just fucking throwing people out, you know?
What do you mean through what?
Yeah, it's
Well, apparently there are
more
some
so a
people
Tara
in guild
thing
that don't
than
really
anything else.
have too big of a problem with Key,
Okay, but every officer does, including a lot of other members.
and we don't really want to come off as like. We don't want to come off as tyrannical, I guess, and just like we're the officers, so we kicked Dirk, and nobody really understands the reason why. I mean, pretty much part.
always very clear to the rest of the raid. And if there's not a whole lot of support from other people who just don't understand the situation, even if we're right about it, we look like assholes because we just kicked someone, especially if we're kicking someone 10 minutes before raid starts, you know? It's better that we had the talk, she had a couple outbursts that we heard about. It's better to lay it down, lay the cards on the table now, let her know what she needs to do to improve, and if it goes on further and she still makes the same mistakes, then our
Next time
hands
she
are,
does it, bye.
we can very easily, you know, tell her to go away, have you fill in for tanking, and then be done with it, and we come off looking like, smell like roses, you know? But if we did it now, no matter how we did it, we're gonna look bad. So and I just don't want that cloud to be over us that early in the tier, you know? Regardless of whether we were in the right or the wrong, either way.
I need to know what spec I need to start going then before I need to know if I need to go blood, because if I'm going blood later on in the patch, then I need to get the legendaries like time now.
Well, what is your legendary situation on your other specs? Good enough, or
I mean, yeah, I guess they're good enough.
why don't you just stay blood spec for legendaries until you get one more, and then go back to DPS legendaries?
Alright.
So that you have 2 actual tanking legendaries, and just call that good. And then if it comes down to it that you're like, okay, you're now tanking full time, then you can swap it then. So,
Okay.
I mean, you probably have most of the cross spec ones, right?
I have all the crossback,
Yeah. So
except for the new ring.
if you ever swap it to blood, every legendary you get is going to be a legit tanking one, and not some random cross spec
Yeah.
one.
All right, man. Just let me know what's going on then.
Yep.
Where's Lith at?
It's online.
So he's already in a group.
I just suggested invite.
Probably move down there.
At least we will have
Yep.
died fighting.
By the way, Ton said he's probably going to be a few minutes late because he had a stomach eruption.
Not where we hold the key.
As in through his anus.
Yes.
Envious of you. Your gift. Your faith. Your vision. I never believed that Sargeras could be stopped. Perhaps you will prove me wrong. Everyone, get ready! Is everyone all right? What have you done? Sometimes the hand of fate must be forced.
Are these Chaos Bringers trash, or do we
It's
just...
trash. It's trash.
Yeah, they're trash. I think we got enough people here, so let's just start pulling trash.
And me asking that question just showed how unprepared I am, so...
Is Jin research trash? Fuck you.
It's okay. It's normal. Come on.